and watch them, on those little soccer fields over there by Mike D.
Mm-hmm.
I would sit there and watch them have practice, and Gavin's like, "What are you doing here?" I'm like, "I'm watching you practice." He's like, "Nobody's parents come to practice." And I was like, "Well, I do. I want to watch you, And he's like, "You don't have to come watch me practice." And I was like, "Well, so I did a lot in 7th grade, quite a bit in 8th grade. And then when he got into 9th grade and he was practicing with the high school, I started showing up because he started practicing with the high school, and I kind of wanted to see how that looked or whatever. And he never said he was embarrassed by it or anything like that, but I did look around and realize that there was like one other parent there, And I was like, I should probably let him do this on his own. This is kind of, it's time.
I'm glad you let me do that
Right.
on my own. Yeah, for sure.
You are?
Yeah.
Well, and I get to thinking about things like the coach is like, not that they would take it out on Gavin, but I didn't want somebody to go, "Why is this guy here? What is it? Does he think I don't know what I'm doing?" Or maybe they didn't care. Maybe they didn't even pay any attention. Maybe they didn't know who my son was. Actually, usually they've known, we were.
Right.
Well, and the difference
Connected.
is the difference between junior high, showing up to like a junior high practice versus a high school practice is that as a freshman, you're going to school with all these guys that are like 18 through.
They're all driving and got hair under their arms.
And so do you think, were they like, what is your dad doing here?
Yeah.
They were.
And then you got to go to school with them. Like,
Right.
It's not like they're just a year older than you, they're still little kids too. Like, these guys are grown.
Right.
I think of myself, and then
Well-
I look back in hindsight of how, like, grown I was at 15.
Yeah.
Not even close.
Right.
Not even within earshot of each other, So I definitely think it would be a little weird if some kid's
So
dad.
you as a senior, if some kid's dad is coming to practice this coming up, season, 9th grader, you would be like,
If I noticed it,
you
yeah,
would be like,
I'd probably,
I get it, but
Yeah, jerk his chain. Yeah,
Yeah.
his chain about it for sure. Yeah.
Your dad's here, Ron?
your dad's here.
Because
Why
it's
is your
not a
dad
little,
here?
would it not be a little strange? Our tax money kind of pays for the coaches.
Yeah,
So
but
So-
and you don't know, you don't get it yet, but you will. You
Well-
want to be there to see your baby boy in everything he does. You know what I mean?
And full disclosure, every year, every football season, I'll go park out on that hill and I'll watch sometimes. Not the whole practice, but I'll go
Gavin's
out
like,
there.
Really?
Well, and now it's especially once he got to be a sophomore and junior, I was watching for hustle. I want to chew his ass out. You know what I
Right.
mean? I'd sit out there and practice because now he's in practice, and if he's lollygagging, the coaches are going to chew him out. But I was
there wasn't
always-
much of that going on.
No.
My sophomore and junior year.
No, and they're again. I'd watch him, and be like, "Oh, he should have caught that," or something like that.
So you would say, don't come to the practice because I need to know this stuff.
Hey
am I
man,
gonna have
I'm
to-
guilty of it.
Do
though.
I have to figure it out on my own here?
Well,
Or
it's I'd say it's definitely a little strange once people are starting to grow up.
Yeah.
When there's people that can go to jail at your practice.
Right.
I'd say it's a little bit different than like.
Well, maybe I need to create some kind of job for myself, like say I want to be the
Filling up water
cameraman or
bottle- yeah.
something, or
Yeah,
be
yeah,
the
yeah.
water, just so I can be like, well, I'm the water bottle guy or I'm the camera guy,
Well, see, once I realized what hit me one day was I was like, okay, he can make children now. I should stop following him around. You know what I mean?
Not to mention at that point, dude, when I was like 16 or 17, I was playing. Like it wasn't like
Right.
sophomore, junior, soaking it up, needs to start hustling practice, maybe try and find him a spot somewhere on special
You were doing
teams.
good.
I started
Right.
at 15 years old
Yeah.
on the team, which now is, at McAllister it's a lot different than it was as far as like younger kids getting to play big roles
How
in
so?
our team. Well, I mean like guys like Eric McCarty
Mm-hmm.
running kick returns back, at 15 or 16, however old he was.
Yeah.
Crazy. Unheard of.
Right.
I mean, you think back to teams, like 13 through 16. No, there were no kids out there that weren't seniors. But different era. But I'm just saying now, it's just different.
A lot more talent in the younger guys is what you're saying.
Coming
Yeah, I don't know if it's more talent in younger kids or just a lack of older
kids that are talented.
honestly. Yeah,
Talking to Mike.
older kids.
Because you guys, you have less people that you used to play football
Marginally
with.
less as far as upperclassmen go.
Yeah.
Because if anything, there would be less kids start playing as underclassmen as they would grow up. There would be more kids start to play.
Right.
where it's kind of going opposite of that way now.
And you can tell that.
Yeah, 100%.
Wow. So, is there anybody out there like, and I'm not asking you to name names, but is there anybody out there that should be playing football that's not playing football?
Hell yeah, I know of some kids myself that I can think of that should be playing.
Yeah, well, it's a lot.
And
you know,
why
I mean,
not?
it's
No. I know it's a big chunk of your life, but what I think some people don't understand is this is it. You know what I mean?
yeah. Well,
Like you can say, and I thought the same thing. I didn't play basketball my senior year. I don't know why, and I still kick myself in the butt every day.
So I tell Gavin.
some
about
people
it.
aren't that way.
And I just thought chasing girls and hanging out, because I ran around with my cousin Scotty, and he was not, he didn't play sports, and so it's a weird, and I'm not blaming it on him, of course, but he wasn't involved in all that, so he was going and getting to do whatever he wanted, and then
It takes it
here
off your plate as far as an
right.
option or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. So it would have been better or easier, if I'd have been closer to somebody that was actually an athlete,
Yeah.
that played basketball. That way I could have, but since he didn't, I was like, okay, I was
wanna do
kind
what this
of
guy's
torn,
doing.
and it was stupid, but I thought I'm going to miss out on something,
Yeah.
I'm going to miss out on something if I'm not, if I'm not with him and we're doing something and all the time, going and doing whatever.
Well, see,
So-
but just like what you're saying, though, I did a lot of the same thing growing up, and that's where a lot of my speeches for Gavin have came from, of me saying, dude, listen, I didn't do these things in high school, and trust me whenever I say, you're going to wish you had done some of these things.
Right.
Don't, I know where you're coming from. I've lived there. I've been there.
Just
Some
do-
of these things you're going to wish
Just
you
stick it
had
out.
back.
Yeah.
And Gavin's been really good always about, there was a time whenever he was like 13 where he thought I didn't know what the hell I was talking about most of the time. But
he probably still thinks that.
well, but I mean,
Yeah.
on some ends though, I'd say something, he'd blow me off, and then that shit would happen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he'd be like, "You were right, you were right," a couple of times, and then he started kind of saying, "Okay, maybe the old man's not just trying to cut me out of something."
And
you know?
and you think as a kid sometimes that you're like, I don't care to play football. I'm not going to play next year or whatever. I'm not going to play my senior year. I don't really like it. But you learn later on that you loved it, and you wish you would have just went ahead and played.
It's like the mower shop. Yeah, I mean, to me, it's the same thing because I'm not going to get it back. As far as the mower shop goes, it just is what it is. I had to quit because of football, so I guess I would compare it because it sucks in the moment. When I was out there with no shirt on, all dirty, and been working, for however long, 6-8 hours, however long I was out there in the heat. And I work all day on this mower, and it doesn't pan out, and I'm pissed, at the end of the day that I didn't get it done, and I don't get paid as much as I'd like to. I would like to say that I could have went my life without that, but I have so many great stories and experiences that I've had through, just sucking it up and keeping on with that job versus just going to work somewhere where I knew I was, guaranteed to get paid by the hour. I'm coming home with a, static check that I wouldn't have had otherwise, where I was like, dude, I got so close to fixing this mower on this day. You remember that? When my buddies that worked with me there, I was like, dude, you remember that day where this and this and this happened, or this mower came in that had an ant colony inside of it, inside the engine? That really happened. I told him about it the day it happened, if I remember right.
Yeah.
But, it sucks in the moment, but, you look back in hindsight and you're like, dude, that was fun.
Right.
Like, that was awesome. And then you wish you had it back. But, you can either look back and go, I should have milked it more, or I should have, I don't know, I guess just got out. That's just the game of life. It's in your head. If you don't enjoy it, then why do it?
And see, I was
He's
hoping,
wise beyond his years, man.
I know. Well, what I was
No
hoping
joke.
he would get was, I don't want to work
I
on
don't
mowers the
want-
rest of my life.
right,
I want to
I
go
do
get an
not-
education so I
yeah,
don't have to do
right,
this.
exactly.
Well, I never looked at it as like my occupation. I was just thinking it was a fun job.
Yeah.
I knew what it was getting into it. I know I'm not going to go get my business degree and come back and try and make it into a mower dealership or something. I don't know how that would work. But
You never know.
yeah, I guess.
Well, and the entrepreneurship got on him whenever he was working over there
Yeah,
too.
for sure. I learned a lot about how
He's like,
business is
"I'm
conducted.
gonna buy this and fix it and sell it and blah blah blah. Of course, some of it he didn't do, and left
yeah.
some weed eaters in my garage that are,
I got a weed eater for $5. a $160 Husqvarna weed eater for $5. It was broke, really broke, like a huge pain. I wouldn't really want to work on at home by myself for no guaranteed pay. But I still have it. And if I needed the money that bad, I could definitely fix it up and put spool in it and sell it.
You don't have it anymore.
Did you throw it away?
I did.
You did not, bro.
I told you I was going to.
No, you didn't. You said you were going to go put them up in the shed.
No, I didn't. I said I'm about to throw these away.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did. I said I'm going to take them to the
Well, they were
dumpster
both
at work.
junkers. I don't really need the money, turns out, but
I threw them both away, too.
Hopefully not.
yeah.
Because I'm not fixing them. Because of
What was wrong with the Husqvarna?
Dude, it was a junker, dude. I'll tell you a funny story about when I went, how I got this weed eater. Ended up being a bad deal. So this was like around that midpoint I was talking about, where I learned that lesson about asking people for money. You know, when I loan it to them or whatever. It's around that point, and I'm starting to get pretty comfy in the shop. You know, I'm feeling like, yeah, I can do this, I can do that. You know, but there's a certain element when it comes to buying and selling things, that side of the shop versus repairing things, that you kind of have to know. You just have to know through experience. You know, and for whatever reason, Brad thought it'd be a good idea to let me and Barry go out to Mod and buy.
Which is like 2 hours away.
Yeah. Which that wasn't bad. You know, I've been driving for 2 years at that point. Pulled the trailer the summer before because me and two of my buddies ran a mower business.
Yeah, you guys mowed. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyways, I knew how to pull a trailer. We're going to Mod and we're picking up. I think it was a lot of push mowers, like 10 for $100. So it's a little fishy in the first place. Something was up. I felt like, you know, I was like, dang, this guy's just giving them away, isn't he? And Brad's like, yeah. Go over there and get them. So I was like, okay. So long day of driving. We get to Mod, and I show up to this guy's house, and he's got a junkyard full of mowers in his backyard. A bunch. So it kind of almost made sense to me, like he has so many of these things. Literally, he's got to sell them somehow.
Right.
It never occurred to me that nothing may be wrong with the mowers I was buying. I knew something was wrong with the weed eater, of course. Like this guy, you know, picked it up and tried to start it. And he was like, you have this thing for $5. You know, I can't figure out what's wrong with it. And I was like, okay, $5. You know, $160 price tag on the back. You know, I was like, dang, yeah, sure, why not? Gave him $5 and split. And not to mention, I'm not really sure if I should say this, but I paid the guy money and he gave me my change in quarters. It was one of those things. So, like, he just wanted the mowers gone, pretty much. Like, that was his hustle, was the mowers. That's all he had. And so we load up the 10 mowers or whatever, and I give this guy the money. I think it was $300 is how much Brad paid for 10 lawnmowers.
You probably shouldn't say the dollar amount, but
It's all right.
go ahead.
I mean no one
don't
else
know.
is going to drive 2 hours to pay for any mowers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if the guy's, how he makes his money is how he makes his money.
Well, we'll get to how the guy made his money this day. And another valuable lesson I learned this same day.
Dude, Gavin's facial expressions, man.
Well,
It's awesome.
So the first thing that where we messed up was we didn't actually try to start any of the mowers while we were buying them.
Now, were you
before we
supposed
gave
to?
the other money?
Did Brad tell you to?
No, but I mean, I'm gonna pick up 10 lawn mowers and not try any of them, not see if any of them start, and just give the guy the money, and he's got a junkyard in the back of his house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And
Oh, yeah.
gave me the change back in quarters. I need to see if they work before I hand the cash over to this guy. I didn't. Me and Barry drove off, and then we get not even out of town yet. Brad calls me, and he's like, "Hey, did you see if those mowers work before you leave town?" And I was like, no. He's like, "Are you still there?" And I was like, "No." And he's like, "Well, I had a chainsaw I kind of wanted you to buy." Anyway, that's kind of irrelevant.
Did you go back?
Anyway, no, I didn't go back. What me and Barry did, I was embarrassed that I didn't just do it in front of the guy. I felt like it would be disrespectful if I brought them all back and was like, "Sorry, dude, where's that money at?" You know, I need to make sure they all start and run right. So we get on the trailer and we pull them all and they all start. Yes, awesome. All of them start except one, and it ended up fixing like the day after or something like that.
Yeah.
The fun part came when we drove all the way back home with all these mowers, all of them. And we get to the shop, we start unloading the mowers. You know, me and Barry are like, woo, you know, we did such a good thing for the shop. Brad starts one of the mowers, and notices there's no handle on the mower. You know, like the
Right.
Safety.
the safety switch. Yeah. Didn't have one, and he starts looking and he goes. It kind of gives us that look because none of them had the safety switch on them to shut the engine off. What they did have was a black wire you had to ground by touching to the muffler was the only way they turned off. The only way. After we'd spent all that money up there, brought them back, and the only way to kill the mowers is to ground them to the muffler. That was it. That was the only way. Otherwise, they would run until they ran out of gas. So, like, if this thing started going towards a dog or something like that, there was no letting go and go whoop, and then it dies on the way, you know, or about to run over a rock or something like that. It's happening. If it's
Well, you don't realize how I don't know, convenient or how necessary those things are until yours don't work. Your kill switch.
we didn't know what to look for. We just thought hand over
They ran.
fist. We got them, on a business venture, sick. You know, we know what to do. We're rolling up. We're cool. I'm pulling a trailer for a long time. I'm going on a road trip.
With a whole bunch of mowers.
And then we got Jimmy Wangs out of all those mowers. Yeah.
So what?
So
what happens on this?
we show back up, and there's a mutiny between the shop for I'd say 3 or 4 minutes. We got a little dispute about them not being so happy that I spent all the money on mowers that didn't work. And
They worked.
yeah,
They worked a little too good.
yeah, just car with no ignition.
About some
Yeah.
motors that won't quit. Mowers that won't quit.
Yeah.
So I mean, surely this is it was a cheap fix, right? I mean, a mower shop.
Yeah.
I figured they would have access to cheap kill switch bars or whatever, right?
Yeah, we had 100 of them out the back of the shop.
So what's he mad about?
Well, he was just mad that he paid all that money for those, and they were supposed to be functioning, 100% functioning. It's what he paid for, was for them to be all right.
Okay. So that was part of the.
Yeah, well, that's yeah. He wasn't buying them without the back 2 wheels. You know, he was buying working mowers.
Right.
You know, for the set price.
For $300.
Yeah.
That'd be a red flag for me, anyways, right there.
Yeah. No.
And then when you loaded all these mowers up, you didn't realize they didn't have the bars.
Yeah, I didn't think nothing of it. Because think about it, all I was working on was broken mowers. I never, was really messing with them ergonomically. I
And you
wasn't sitting
mowed
there
lawns before the
I had a
season
self-propelled.
before.
Had a self-propelled, So I mean, I guess it's sort of the same thing, but I just didn't think
Yeah.
anything of it.
Right.
I was more encapsulated in wow, I've never been in this town before, and I'm doing business here. How awesome
Right.
is this?
Yeah.
I'm not at the mower shop, and I'm buying mowers,
Right.
and Brad's about to sell them. It's going to go into my paycheck.
And
Yes,
he's gonna be happy.
and got a
So,
little too caught up.
Was he? What did he say?
He said, "You guys really bought all these mowers, all of them.
Did it turn out-
Handed this guy the money,
Yeah.
and none of them have kill switches on them. None of them." And they stand up and they start looking around. None
Did
of
you take a
them.
picture of all these?
Ooh, we might have. You know what?
So let me ask you this: was it a joke towards the end of your tenure with them?
Yeah,
Was it a
yeah,
joke?
yeah.
Don't
Remember
send
that
him
one
anywhere
time?
because he'll go. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that one time.
It was one of those things, and it was a big deal the day it happened because, everybody was emotionally invested in the shop. I don't know what it is. It was just something about working long days and not knowing if you're getting. It's just cool. It was a
Right.
neat little sub community, and so everybody was
awesome.
concerned for the shop as well as themselves,
Right.
and Brad, because Brad gave us all a place to work,
Right.
So there was. Everybody was pretty emotionally invested, and we were yeah, they don't work really, and everybody was like, "What do you mean they don't work? You guys haven't helped us build anything. You haven't helped us put anything together all day. This is all you did all day, and the mowers don't work the way they're supposed to. What are you talking about?" We were like, wait a minute.
So
But-
what made you go ahead?
Well, in the end, though, Brad was pissed whenever it first happened, but then
Well, it was easy.
just
Well,
a little bit he cooled
Yeah.
off.
No, yeah, not very long at all. And he got them, at the end of the day, all of them got sold. All the money was made. Profit was made, So it wasn't
Right.
that big of a deal. It wasn't like we bought them they all blew up when we got there or something like that. Or
Right.
we drove them off a cliff or something.
Yeah, because that happened to me one time. I had a Bowflex in my garage, right? And I was trying to do some rearranging and stuff, and so I put it on. What? What's so funny?
I think I know this story. Go ahead.
That's not why you're laughing.
What's a
Yeah, it
Bowflex?
is. I'm just laughing.
Why are you
I
laughing?
know you, dude. I know. Go ahead.
What's a Bowflex for
can only
context? I
imagine.
don't know what it is.
You haven't seen a Bowflex before? They're
It's like a workout machine.
Yeah, it's like a has bands.
It's a what?
It's
Workout
like,
machine?
Yes.
uses bands. It's like when you press, it's got like these bow limbs that flex. They use pulleys, so you have resistance from it. And they call it a Bowflex.
yeah,
or whatever.
okay.
Anyways,
Never mind.
Workout
Yeah.
machine.
Power tower.
Yeah.
this is the age gap here. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I heard one referred to as a power tower.
Well,
one
they
time.
still sell
That's what I'm
those,
talking
though.
about. You do like tricep pull downs and stuff like that.
Well, but this is not. Yeah. This,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do all
basically.
kinds of stuff with
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right. So I trade it for a riding lawnmower, a Husqvarna with a Kohler engine on it.
It's not a bad trade.
Yeah, it was a terrible trade. Okay.
It was.
Yeah, we rolled it off the. It was the big orange mower, and we rolled it off the. He started it and backed it off the trailer. We loaded the Bowflex on, and I was like, oh yeah, cool. He leaves. I get on the mower. I ride it to the back of my yard. Okay, not even 1 minute. The mower blew up.
Blew up.
Blew up.
What are you talking about? Blew up.
The engine
The
like
engine
quit.
was
What?
gone.
It just crapped out.
Yeah.
What do you think it was? What was wrong? Like,
Oh, it
what
would
made you-
run, but it was smoking real bad. It was done. It had no power. It was low on power, and all that.
Did you know this guy?
Yeah, I knew of him. Yes,
Oh God, he got to.
I knew his woman too. Yeah, she's from Wilburton.
Really?
Yeah, but they both lived in McAllister.
Sucks so bad, dude.
Yeah, and I think I put it on Facebook and was like, yeah, let's trade. I didn't put that on Facebook, but I said I put the Bowflex on. I was like, I'm looking for trade, riding lawnmower or something, whatever. I needed it out of my garage because it was taking up a lot of room. And she messaged me and was like, yeah, we got this riding lawnmower. Took pictures of it and all that. Sent it to me. I was like, sure, let's do it. And
That happens a lot.
1 minute.
You'd be surprised with
That's why I'm
lawnmowers.
laughing.
1 minute. That's why I don't like Kohler. That's not why you're laughing. But I know you, bruh. I know you. But anyways, so I was wondering why you chose to work there rather than mow another season like you did before. Because I'm sure, honestly, you could have made a lot more money. And I'm glad
Mowing
you didn't
yards, for
because
sure.
you had a good experience. And you
Yeah.
learned a lot, and you learned not to call out somebody on their money.
Yeah, all kinds of things. It'd take me all day.
kinds of things, but you just wanted to
Well,
change it up a little bit.
yeah, and one thing about mowing yards is, of course, I'm going to make more money, but it's way hot outside. Hot all day, and that's the only way you're making money.
sure is.
mowing
You're in
yards.
Oklahoma,
You got to
it's
be
really-
out there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I mean, like, there's no way around it. There's
Right.
no tarp you can buy.
No.
Unless you're like commercial, and you got
Right.
like year-round mowers with
Big mowers with
yeah. That's the only way you're getting out of the heat. And what we had was
Not
a
that.
Husqvarna self-propelled mower that we still own, and 2 weed eaters that work sometimes. And that was about it, really. We had a riding mower. If we got a big enough job, we'd ask to borrow this riding mower, and that was all we had. So it really wasn't like gravy, like it is for
Right.
some people that have initial investments, that get
Right.
better commercial mowers versus like mowers you're supposed to just use in your backyard.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
There was that side, and there was also, I knew Brad before. I'd known Brad years before. He'd always talk about the mower shop, and then my buddy Ethan, who's Brad's nephew, which he called us all nephew, but he's his legit nephew, had been working there like months prior and had money. And I was like, I kind of want some money. And I know my friend's working here, and I don't have to go work at Brahms or something like that. Because for whatever reason, it just crossed my mind I needed a job all of a sudden, And I was like, I had this Brahms application at my house and all these different spots. And I was like, dude, I don't really want to do that. Like, I'd rather just do, under the table type stuff. That way, if there's something that I would really want to make, like my, one of my siblings' birthdays or something like that, I don't have to go, sorry guys, I'm going to lose my job if I don't go. Like one of those things, which usually it's not that serious. You can get a pretty flexible schedule, but even, small stuff, if I wanted to miss work, I could with Brad. I just let him know in advance. We would be gravy, like it wouldn't be one of those things where I have a set in stone schedule. And it was really, I knew the guy, so if I ever messed up, it wouldn't be personal. He'd be like, well, I know you're new, blah, blah, blah. and I knew it just seemed fun. You know, I don't know why. It just seemed new and like exciting.
And it
like,
was,
dang, like
right?
yeah, it's like this edgy. You know, like you're sitting there turning wrenches all day. You're using, you know, pull like cheater bars, and you're using, you know, all this different stuff. You're breaking bolts over, and like, dude, it was so fun. I would have never imagined it being as fun as it was. I just knew Ethan worked there, and I wanted to work there too. Like, it looked fun. He was telling me stories about it, and some of the people that worked there, I was like, dude, these guys sound like straight characters. You know, like I really want to kind of meet these guys and work there. So there I was working at the shop,
Awesome.
and it was fun.
And so now you're not working there anymore.
Nah, my only deal with that was I didn't want it to get in the way of football.
Right.
For my sake and for Brad's sake, you know, because we're both kind of losing out.
And I'm sure it slows down after the
after summer, yeah,
Yeah.
100%, yeah. I mean, there's still money to be made there right now, but I mean, yeah, of course, business is going to slow down. Nobody's mowing their yards when it's 40 degrees outside.
I
But-
figure that's when a lot of people take their mowers in to get them fixed, but I bet it's not. I bet it's right before the season starts.
Oh, it's like anything. It's like,
oh,
windshield wipers. You only
snap.
buy windshield wipers when it's raining. 'Cause you're
Right.
like, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's thinking, I really need to get my mower fixed.
Yeah, they're
next
not
season."
walking in the shed out back at their house going, oh,
I know.
yeah,
I'm
I
not.
forgot.
Yeah. The only time I'm out there, like, what this thing won't start. What? Yeah. Then I would take it to somebody or whatever. But usually I just go buy another one because I get so irritated.
Well,
But,
some of them, if you buy an expensive enough one, they'll last you for a long time.
Yeah.
And then it's a minor repair and they're right back working if you spend enough money initially. Dude, that's like, I don't know, man. I guess I can say this without giving up the secret sauce. Steel and Echo are the best weed eaters you can buy, 100%. That was one of the most popular things we got in the shop were 2-stroke engines, you know, like weed eaters.
yeah. And when I bought the Troy Builts and Gavin got to know the Troy Built,
Well, I got to know the meta of lawn and landscaping equipment. You know, I was like, dude, Troy Built's not going to cut it.
he's like, we don't even fix those.
Well, back
No,
in the day, they
yeah.
were the ones. You know, they were good.
No, the
You
ride
could-
mowers are good.
You could
They're actually good ones.
rely on them. You could, trust in Troy Built. Also, you could trust in the Husqvarna weed eaters.
Husqvarna weed eaters are good, for
Now,
sure.
when I was
They're
right out of
definitely
high
mid-tier.
school, I went to work at Eastern, and I was on their maintenance crew for the summer, and I
didn't know
was
that.
basically I weed eated
Yeah.
all summer
Jeez.
long. And by the time you got finished with, one side of the college, it was time to start on the other. I'm not kidding. It was, dude, I've weed eated more than most people have in 2,500 lifetimes. I mean, if you really think
sucks.
about it, Eastern, I mean, everything had to be weed eated, and there's a lot to be weed eated. So we had some Husqvarna weed eaters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they were awesome. We couldn't tear them up. We tried.
Yeah.
We tried to make them stop working. And then we got a brand new Husqvarna weed eater in, and we all fought over it. And we would get it out in the field the first day, and we hated it. It was junk. We were like, we want to go back to the old ones. So we went back to the old Husqvarna weed
Really?
eaters. Couldn't tear them up. The new one, I just didn't like it. But anything you buy nowadays, it seems like it doesn't really
Yeah.
last. It's not built to last.
No.
Because we're not built, as a society, we're not built in fixing things.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, we like your dad said, we messed
why
up,
mess with it?
going to buy a new one.
Yeah.
And that is what they know. They know that we're like this. So, and
Dude,
they know.
Mechanics. You know what? A mechanic that I've used here in McAllister,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not going to name any names, and there's nothing wrong with this situation, but he's working at the Ford dealership now. I saw him today, and I was shocked. You know what I mean? He has his own business, and mechanicking is another thing, dude. It's getting to where everybody takes it to the dealership. You know what I mean? It's a crazy world. You know what I mean? It's mechanics. I mean, you come from a family of mechanics, and it's just like, it's getting a little bit less and a little bit less and a little
Yeah.
bit less. It's crazy. I never thought I'd see this guy working at the dealership. I was shocked, but it's getting me just like you said. I did the same thing. You know what happened when my Troy Built weed eater crapped out on me?
You went and bought a new one.
I bought a Cobalt battery powered one is what I did.
Right. Yeah, we have one of those too.
And let me tell you something. It's bad to the bone. I love that weed eater. And it don't ever flood. And I don't have
Run
to
out of
mix
gas.
gas. I don't have to
Right.
go buy gas or nothing.
And did you buy the extended warranty? Because if this one messes up, you can just go change it in for free. That's what we did.
Well, it's Cobalt, so it's got a lifetime warranty.
Oh, I don't think ours is a Cobalt. Ours is a Black and
Oh,
Decker.
I bought a Cobalt, dude, and let me tell you
I bet
something.
it's more expensive than a Black and Decker.
It is badass. It's a better as far as what its weed eating ability.
Yeah.
It's better than my gas powered one. I'm talking about
Wow.
like tough wise. Yeah, dude. And it comes with weed eater string that's big around as my pinky.
How does it make you feel?
About my mower shop,
Yeah.
it just
Makes
it's
you
all,
wanna-
well, it's all preference. You don't
Makes
see
you want
everybody.
to punch a guy like him in the face?
No, I mean it's whatever you like, you know. Just like guys like my dad have a Pontiac Le Mans, and other guys go, I want my Tesla as cheap as possible.
Right.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Right.
there's bonuses to either side.
Yeah,
You know, especially
for
like
sure.
a guy like myself when I get older. I don't know anything about circuits or anything like that. But I do know if I buy a really nice weed eater to start,
You can
and it starts having
probably-
problems,
yeah.
more than likely I can troubleshoot
Yep,
it and get
very
it working
true.
for nothing hardly. Go to O'Reilly's in one pit stop and get whatever I need. Go back home, fix it, and then it works like new again.
Oh,
Nailed
any what would you say, tangible skill is a plus, no matter what. I mean, anything you can learn to do where you know, like you learned something on how to work on those small engines, that's
Yeah.
never going to be wasted time.
No.
You know, I mean, and that's no matter if you didn't make any money at all, you would still have learned because of the time you spent doing it. You learned something valuable. So,
Yeah.
another way to help yourself instead of having to have somebody do something for you. You know, I mean, that's never a bad thing to me. Believe me, I've learned how to do a lot of things, just like building that car. Dude, I have learned. I can't even begin to tell you the things I've learned about cars that I thought I knew. I had a pretty good working knowledge of vehicles and da 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 da. Dude, no, I didn't know anything. And I'm a pretty good. What would you say? I'm like an encyclopedia of 1971 Pontiac Le Mans. I can tell you a lot of shit. You know what I mean? Like a 68 model door panel doesn't fit on a 71. They're not the same, and they look the same. When you hold them up, if I was to hold them up in front of you, you'd be like, yeah, they're the same.
The backside's different.
Where the locking mechanism's different. It's a different distance from the edge of the door. So, you know, I mean, I learned a lot of things like that, you know, and a lot of things about LS motors and those kind, and that's not wasted. Even though, will I ever build one again? Probably not. But if I ever do, you know, I learned a whole lot of what not to do, you know. And it's
Yeah.
fun. It's fun to drive, you know. I mean, just like, you know, you had fun building those mowers.
When it
so.
started back up, especially after one of the ones that was sitting there for weeks, and when that thing finally kicked over, let me tell you, some of them, dude, we could have had a whole party dedicated to some of these mowers that would sit for weeks, and we would all take our turns at it, trying
Yeah.
trying to score, we're trying
Yeah.
to fix this mower.
Right.
Because, you know, there'd be incentives sometimes, you know, just to get it done.
So
and
if
get it out of the
somebody else
shop.
jumped on it and fixed it, it'd be theirs.
Yeah, pretty much. Because, I mean, well, guys like me and Ethan and
But once you get off
whoever
of
else-
it, it's like, all right, go ahead. I'm
well,
going to get on this other
you
thing.
might just not know. You may just not have any idea. That's like when I worked on a motor for the first time. It was what I was fixing on it was a starter and a solenoid, I think is what it needed. I knew nothing about it. So if I ever got jobs like that, it was like out of the kindness of their heart. You know, they'd be like, yeah, you know, we'll help you along with it. And we'll split the money. You know, like it's cool. But anything other than that, if it wasn't something simple, you know, it's fair game. It's just, you know, whether or not it's something tedious that may take a lot of time, and everybody knows how to do it, you know, there's certain things, you know, and then you just have to know. And then there's other things, you know, like that solenoid. I had no idea. I didn't even know what a solenoid was. I didn't know the purpose. I didn't know about any of it. I was like, what is a solenoid? What's wrong with it? They're like, well, it does this, 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 this. And I was like, oh, okay. I still don't know. I still don't want to work on it. And he's like, yeah, you're going to work on it just in case we need to do it again. I was like,
Well, you know, and it really, you think about the system that he's using to get that stuff done, and it's genius. You know, I mean, you work by the job. If you
Right.
fix it, you get the money. If you don't, you get nothing.
Yeah.
You know, and that's a motivator. You don't have to go around and motivate these guys
Right.
because either
They're not just on the clock.
if they're unmotivated, then eventually they're going to get tired of not making any money. They're not going to show up anymore.
Right.
So
either
that
or start
cuts
working
you,
hard. Yeah.
Yeah, that cuts you out of having to corral people. You know, now you can just go. You know, if you want to make $40, then you need to get that thing going. You know, and whoever's wants to do it is going to jump on it. You know, and there's always going to be people looking to make some money. You know, side money or whatever it may be, whatever the case may be.
Well, yeah, there was a minimum you could make every day. You know, we would never send us home flat broke. You know, he'd be like, well, sorry, buddy. That
You didn't get anything running, so you didn't get nothing.
That flywheel, I mean, I'm sorry, man. I can't help it, but it's not turning. See ya. Not give you no money. Like, he would give you a little bit just because working at the mower shop comes with certain things, certain responsibilities, like any other job, intangibles like, Ben works here. He doesn't leave trash all over his desk. He does stuff in here, serious stuff, and it needs to look nice to do so. So that's like the shop. We'd have to move the mowers every day, move them out of the shop so we'd have room to work on the mowers. That's manual labor you're doing right there. Take the trash out. That's working. It's considered work. There's all kinds of things that would get roped into your minimum pay. And you might do deliveries. It may not always be mechanic work. Like that day we went to Mod. Even though we messed up, we got compensated for it because we couldn't work. Obviously, we couldn't work on mowers. We're going to get mowers to sell. So you get compensated for that. And, it was good. It was a good job. Even some days now, if I have free time, like I'm going to these next couple of weeks, if I need money, then I'll hit Brett up and be like, hey, can I stop in the shop? Like,
You worked like last week there for a day or two, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you still have that you can go back to
Yeah.
at any time.
Well, if I have free time, I don't have football and stuff like that, which
Yeah.
my family does a good job of helping me out when
Right.
when I have football to do. Otherwise, because I'd be working if I didn't. I'd have taken care of it myself, and they understand that.
Dude,
So, my folks help me out.
They do a lot of things that reminds me of whenever I ran around with like Chris Turner and those guys. Whenever Chris was working at Dave Helmert's body shop, it was like those videos of you and Brad riding the moped and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That it reminds me of like whenever we were young, we would do stuff like we had a burnout contest one night after Chris got off work. I bought a truck and it's a 2-wheel drive in 1997, brand new, right? 6-cylinder, 5-speed. And so I can't remember what vehicle Chris had. Anyway, we had a burnout contest. You know what I mean? You pull out. Of course, Dave was one of those guys he's a lot like Brad in that.
When it was
really,
time to work.
really easy to be around. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Oh,
like,
yeah.
he had a very good heart. You know what I mean? The man, I will give him this. He was 100% nice to me at all times.
Same here.
No matter what.
I mean, I never worked for him, but yeah.
I didn't work for him, but I hung around there all the time, and he would let us. We'd come around there.
Most of my friends are the same way. They hang out at the shop,
Right.
Even if they're not working at the time.
And that's what we'd do. Like, we might help Chris wet sand a little bit. We'd be over doing this. We'd be talking more than which Chris felt obligated because he was always, he was kind of on the clock, so he was always working.
Yeah.
But we'd be like, yeah, give me some sandpaper. So, anyways, dude, we'd be talking about whatever. Well, at the end of the day, Dave would be like, well, he was married with babies and stuff. And he's like, well, I'm going home, And we're like, all right. He's like, let's make sure the doors are locked, and he'd just leave us there. The building's not even there anymore. That's what sucks. It aggravates me when I drive by there. There's a bank sitting there now, but
Yeah.
we get out there in front of that. It'd be getting like in the summertime and be 8 o'clock at night, start to get dark, and we'd be like, all right, let's have a burnout contest. And I'm like, all right. Or they'd say, somebody'd say something about, we'd be talking about 5 speeds because my truck was a 5-speed manual, 4-speed with overdrive. And I was like, dude, it'll burn rubber. It only has one tire that turns. It'll smoke it. I'm like, all right, we'll get it out there and do it. I'd roast the tire, you know what I mean? Just doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I remember how fun it was. I was, a little bit older than you are now, but not much. And so watching those videos of you riding with Brad, and he's willing to be silly with you guys, it kind of reminds me of hanging out at Dave's shop and how much fun it was.
Yeah.
And we as a group of guys were all kind of, our families were all kind of mechanical background, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like, how your Papa Sel is, and then Chris's dad, Dale, same kind of guy, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't an oil field guy, but he worked CNC machines, but he was always working on stuff at his house, working on vehicles or tractor or whatever it is, doing something. And, dude, those times they are so much fun.
We
man.
have had a lot of fun at the shop.
It's easy to get caught up in that stuff because, like you said, man, when you're young and you ain't got nothing to be doing, have a burnout contest or, I mean, like riding that moped. I bought what was that thing? I bought a miniature, some kind of a mini bike. It was almost like a moped, but it was a little bit different. I don't remember what it was. And it would only run like 20 miles an hour top speed. And I rode it one day from Limestone to somewhere on Cravens Road. Where was it at? Oh, Chris, you remember that where that where the trailer park was on Cravens, like right outside of town? or not on Cravens Road. What road is that where you turn at East End Market and
Ludi?
Ludi Road? Yes, I'm sorry. Yes, you know that trailer park.
Rock Island.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Rock Island.
I rode from at 20 miles an hour on a little. And now, mind you, I'm probably 19, maybe 20, and at this time I'm weighing like 250. You know, I'm chicken on a June bug. You know what I mean? I'm riding this little bitty bike, and I rode it all the way to Chris's
From
house.
where?
From Limestone, dude. Where my grandmother lives out there now. I was
All the way to the Rock Island?
Mm-hmm.
That's a long ways.
I'm
For
talking
those
about-
of you who are not familiar with Wilburton, Oklahoma,
Well, it was probably, 10 miles, something like that.
it's a long ways.
It took for
Especially at 20 miles an hour.
and no headlight, and I got there after dark.
Really?
You know what I mean? Yeah, and there was no phones with a light on it. You know what I mean? I'm just driving. Is that a cat or a rock? What is that? You know?
Yeah.
But anyway.
Either one you don't want to hit on a moped.
That was the one day when I was riding it around Chris, and I think Chris was there. Anyway, Worm was there with me, and my mom was out watering her plants. And Worm was like, dude, get that little bike out. And I was like, all right. Well, he just liked to laugh at me riding it because I was so big and it was so small, you know. So I was riding around the yard, and he was standing there laughing. And I rode by, and like my mom's watering her plants, and they had one of those frost-free faucets outside. I can't even talk.
Yeah.
That you pick the handle up on, you know. And I drove by, and the kickstand caught the water hose as I was driving by, and it was PVC pipe that thing was mounted on. And I broke that off.
Oh,
As I was driving by, there was a 1-inch stream of water shooting like 15 feet in the air. Dude, Worm got on the ground laughing. My mom was like, oh my God. I had to go shut the water off at the road. You know what I mean? And then go, because Dad wasn't there. So I had to go like find all of his PVC shit and
you had to fix it.
And fix it. Yeah, like right there.
You're like, man, all because I had to get on this freaking moped.
Worm was like just riding around the yard. There was no phones. You know what I mean? It wasn't like he was videoing me. He was just standing there laughing at me. I'll never forget him just standing there. He was because he would, dude, I could do some things that would make him belly laugh. So he used to stand there laughing his ass off. And I was riding close to it, riding right by him, and like doing like gay gestures and shit, just being stupid. And then I hung that damn water hose with the kickstand and broke the faucet off.
It didn't knock you off or anything?
No, dude. I didn't even know I had it hooked. Like I hooked the hose, but I kind of run down the hose a ways until it made a loop, and then it pulled on it, and it just, I'm talking about just broke it off, dude. But
Speaking of Worm, I think one of the we went to a lot of car shows with him and his dad and his mom. And I remember one time we were coming back from a car show, and I forget where it was at, but we were north of the park. So I think it may have been Stigler or somewhere. And it started raining on us. And it started sprinkling. And he had that Studebaker, right? And with suicide doors. Well, one of them, the driver's side came open. We were behind him. I watched it happen. And it just flew open. Boom! Man, it did damage. He stopped. We all stopped. And we were in my grandpa's black Shelby. I think I may have been with him. I may have been too young to drive at the time. Because when I was old enough to drive, I got to drive my own or one of his. We would take two to the car show wherever we go. But I think I was with my grandpa. And they were all like, they knew that rain didn't touch his cars. We didn't drive in the rain or anything, and it started sprinkling. They're like, go ahead, just go, and we'll deal with this. We'll get this car, get the door shut and all that. But I just remember watching that suicide door just fly open, dude. I was like sick for Warren. He was sick. Man, he was sick over that.
that was probably when it was still black, right? And whenever it was black with the flames.
I think so,
Because after
yeah.
that, he painted it that blue color.
It may have been why he painted
I think that's what it was.
I was around Worm a lot. He was a very, very funny guy.
Very funny.
Very funny. So he kept me rolling all the time.
Dude.
But
Never got to meet the guy.
I know, but that suicide door, man, I don't remember why it came open, but man, it caused a lot of damage.
See, I met Worm, he was in my class, but I didn't know him because he's like a skater kid whenever I first met him there, right?
Yeah.
Big time. And that was, I came, let's see, I hadn't lived in Wilburton very long whenever his brother died. and he went through a real hard time with it and everything. So I didn't get to know Worm that well. And then I think when I was a junior, I knew who he was, and we'd say hey or whatever. But I was sitting in the library in Wilburton one day, and I'm bored. I'm trying not to go to class, so I'm sitting there looking at a magazine, and it was like a Oklahoma Fish and Game magazine or something. I don't know, something I wasn't even interested in. And he just sat down next to me, and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm just looking at this magazine." He's like, "You know what we should do?" And I was like, "What?" And literally, it was sitting there looking at the magazine. He goes, "We should go prairie chicken hunting." And I was like, "All right, when do you want to go?" And he was like, "Whenever we get out of high school, we're going prairie chicken hunting." And he would bring it up, dude. He never forgot it. He brought it up. We were like almost inseparable right after we got out of high school. Like we got to be really, pretty tight after we got out of school. Matter of fact, he's who introduced me to Baloo, to Chris Turner. Mm-hmm. And because I knew who Chris was, but I didn't know him. And him and Worm were real. Worm was like friends with everybody.
Everybody.
Yeah,
right.
and people in high school would beat you up over him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like nobody jacked with Worm for
Right.
whatever reason. I don't know why.
Well, from what I could tell, being way younger than him, he just seemed like the guy that everybody liked.
Yeah.
And got along with everybody. So if I'm sure, and I know we knew a couple people like that. We know a couple people like that. If somebody were to have a problem with them, we would have a problem with them too, or a problem with those people that had a problem with him.
He was funny, dude. He had a lot of funny, like
Prairie chicken hunting.
in some ways, he and you are sort of alike in really strange ways, and I'll tell you what I mean. Like, how you're super tight. He was the same way. Like,
well, money don't grow on trees, bruh.
well, I mean, like, but you take it to extremes. You know what I'm saying? No, you're not so bad, but whenever we first became friends, it was like, what? You know what I mean? You were like the tightest guy I'd ever met.
Because you had a work truck that you could drive anywhere for free.
Dude. And you lived up here, and we would play basketball in Wilburton, and we'd try to get him to come down and play basketball, and he's like, I'm not driving all the way down there. It costs too much.
He put too much miles on my new ride.
Yeah, that was another thing.
Yeah, okay,
like,
go ahead. Yeah, and so I could see Worm being that way.
But anyway,
like, I'm not gonna try,
Well, Worm would do that, what you do. He'd be like, man, I'm out of gas. Let's ride with you. And that kind of thing. So,
I've done that for sure.
but he was funny, dude. We used to ride around and listen to music, and
Warren Vincent.
we, dude, he's one of those people that I could talk about him all day long, but you had to experience that dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just a very,
For sure.
one of the guys you hang around with now. He's one of those guys for me. Just
Yeah.
endless memories, dude. That, like I said, it's hard to, unless like me and Chris can sit there and throw stuff back and forth about him because we both ran around with him, and a lot of the things that we know about Worm was together. With all of us,
Right.
and those kind of things. So.
Yeah, I never really was around him in that capacity. It was mainly
dude.
car shows and stuff, where his parents were around too. And,
Yeah.
but.
Well, he had to be cool around the parents, like everybody
right,
does.
But gosh, man, he would have me rolling.
Dude,
He'd have me rolling.
He would say things. He would say things to people sometimes. You could tell that he had been protected by all these older people all of his life, because we get out of high school and he would, he's able to tell somebody, well, you're fat. You know what I mean? Or something like that. And which, we were always looking for some reason to fight back in those days, so we would all laugh. But anyway, yeah, dude, these are the days for sure.
These are the days. We just got back from state. We just went to state, Gavin, Kaysen. Went to state.
State.
Yeah, we went to state, and we got runner-up. We got beat by Stigler on Saturday.
Stigler's got good baseball teams, man. They
Yes,
do.
we went in. We got beat by Cushing on Thursday night. It's a double elimination. We'd won every game until we got to Cushing. We knew Cushing was tough. They were tough. They had some big kids. They could throw, and Cushing beat us. Their parents, their coaches, their kids, they were all cocky. I mean, over the top cocky. They had one kid I could swear was 15 years old. His voice started to change, and and besides that, they were mean mugging our kids. And our kids were like, and then the coach, like Coach Mullins, he would kind of try to have a little conversation, with the other coaches, and this is stuff that I noticed.
Yeah.
And he would like say so, and they would just kind of act like, huh, just like, dude, you're beneath me, and that's how they treated us, So the next day, we have to go in and play Navajo, and then if we won that, we had to play Cushing twice, all in 3 games in one day. So Friday, we had to win all 3.
God.
Okay, it's lose, it's one and done. We won all 3.
Awesome.
We beat Cushing twice in a row, and they did not appreciate it. They did not appreciate. And we're not doing elbows. There for a while, we'd do elbows. You know how you line up and give high fives.
Oh yeah.
Congratulate or good game.
You do the hat tip.
We were doing the hats. And they were just like, they were not.
Dang,
Yeah.
it was like that.
It was bad.
I've never been a part of it. I have been once.
Yeah.
In my
Really?
whole life.
Yeah, you have.
What's
I
that?
was there.
Dude, it's so funny. In hindsight.
No names. No.
You went to state
No
or
names.
what are you talking about?
No, not even
being
close.
a bad loss that people don't appreciate.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. I got to hear the story.
If it's, we might be talking about the same one, but it took place in the Tulsa area.
We're
Football or
we're
basketball?
about the same one.
Football.
Football or baseball? Okay.
Football. Yeah. And, yeah, dude. I can remember one quote from the game was, "Don't shake their hands." At the end of the
Really?
game. It got, yeah, like that.
A coach said that?
Yes.
Don't shake their hand?
It was like that. Yes.
Well,
It was deep. Like, everybody was mad. Like, there could have been a huge fight at the
There
50-yard
almost
line.
was a
Between the coaches,
you
dude.
don't know.
Seriously.
you and a coach?
I was a kid.
Oh, you
I saw these guys talking some
to your
serious
coaches.
serious shit to each other. Grown men were.
It was crazy, dude. And we
So
got
two coaches from-
yeah, we got blown out, but
Yeah.
it was still funny in hindsight.
Bummer.
Like thinking about like all the stuff that went down in this little league game. It was crazy, dude. It was awesome. It's funny, like thinking back on it. Like I can talk to my friends that played on that team about like stuff that they saw within the game because it was like a huge fist fight.
Really?
The whole time, yeah. It was like
Wow.
jerking people's face masks around and like throwing punches and crazy stuff, dude.
Jeez, it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. These guys were just cocky.
I'll never
This-
forget that game.
This was almost like a viral video. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it was,
yeah.
dude, it was getting serious, and I wasn't in on it. I mean, I was mad because there were some things done and said that weren't right. You know what I mean? And I was quick as anybody, especially when Gavin was little. About always trying to be a good experience or whatever. But I mean, these guys were.
Pushing the envelope for sure.
I'm talking about.
Ready to rock.
Well,
dude.
one of the coaches drug another coach, not on our team, from that other team. They didn't physically drag him, but they were had him. They're like, "Come on, let's go." And he's like, "Oh, well, there's." I'm talking about. It was serious, dude. I was like, "Come on, guys. You know what I mean? Let's not do this." You know, I'm as big a dumbass as anybody is. About that kind of stuff,
But this is over the top.
Yeah, we got these kids. Let's just take our loss and go on with
Yeah.
life. We don't want to end up on the internet. Not for this.
yeah, good luck at the job. Can't even help start a fight at a little league game.
Yeah.
Empty the bench for a bunch of 12-year-olds.
I knew exactly which one you were talking about. I'll never forget, dude. But
It's crazy.
well,
dude.
and in those guys' defense, I mean, this dude is an excellent dude, and
100%.
I'm very, very, very good friends with him, and appreciate so many things about him. And his temper, he's got one. Okay, he's got one. Yeah.
The
So-
fuse was burned up.
But I mean, we all do. But yeah. I mean, he cares.
Right.
That's his thing. Is he has a very, very deep, deep love for Gavin's team. Mm-hmm. Gavin,
to this day.
I'm talking
to
about
A coach.
right now.
the guys that are seniors this year.
Mm-hmm.
He loves, with a capital L, every kid on their football
Wholeheartedly.
team, and has since day one. He's a very, very involved guy. You know what I mean? I can't say enough good things about him. I have nothing but admiration and respect for the dude. I mean, he's a good dude.
But he was good about. He's about to lose it. That
He
day.
had done lost it. You know what I
Oh.
mean? He was at.
yeah.
Yeah.
Ship had sailed on that, dude. There were kids out there like, kids whose dads were coaches were fighting on the field. It was so ironic because like their dads were fighting, and then they were fighting on the field at the same time. It was like the whole atmosphere. It was like a coliseum out
Dude.
there. I've never been since like witnessed or been a part of anything like that. On a
It was one of those things where if just one thing had gone wrong
It would've
more,
got-
Yeah.
it would have been total
Catastrophic.
Dude, who knows? You know what I mean? Because we were on.
Was you a coach at the time?
We were over by Union's Field. Yeah, I was helping coach.
Or were you trying to keep everybody in line?
I was just like, all right, kids, let's go get, all right, good game. Let's go and talk about
Plug your ears.
it. Let's get away from these guys before somebody shoots somebody.
Dude, it's so funny in hindsight. It could have got so like nobody ever got hurt. That's the best part about it. Was
Yeah,
like
but
it
it
got
was on the
so
edge.
serious.
It was about to
Yes.
be. It was
Well,
about to
it's
be.
when you climb in the vehicle, and when everybody finally you're done with your after game talk and all this, you get in the vehicle and the grown ups look at each other and they go, holy like, whoa. The kids don't even know,
But they did know.
Yeah.
They,
Yeah, well,
they just
obviously,
didn't know to what
you know.
extent.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it was good. It was a good time.
Oh man. Well, we went to we won all 3 games. Got to stay another night. Got to spend more money
With your finger throbbing?
With my finger throbbing. Next day,
Oh, I
we had
forgot,
to-
yeah.
we go to a best of 3. With Stigler, it's a start over basically. It's no wins, no losses. Basically, you go in the finals, and but you don't get to start over on pitchers. So we had burnt some of our really good pitchers, and we had to pitch some guys that really that are good but didn't have that much experience.
Yeah.
And so and they had 2. They had burnt some of their pitchers too. So we didn't get to play them. And I hate even saying this, but we would have just loved to be able to play them straight up. Our good pitchers, they're good pitchers, or they're better pitchers, and
100%.
and our better pitchers that have more experience. Because all of our pitchers are good. They really are. I mean, and even the guy that we pitched, we ended up pitching. He did a really good job. I'm really proud of that kid. Really proud of all of our kids. It was a fight, man. It was awesome. It was like you couldn't have, scripted it any better. I mean, especially when we beat Cushing. I mean, we were like, that was like a championship to us. We have it on video.
Just as good.
Almost
I can only
just as
imagine.
good. Yes. I mean, everybody screamed. We were, like when we did
Back to back.
the coin flip, they won the coin flip, and the other coach was like, well, like he was.
The I Don't Drink Coffee podcast does love Cushing. We don't discriminate against
No.
Cushing.
We love Cushing.
We like McAllister
We
kids
just
a little more.
we would rather a better, we'd rather the coaches be better sports.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, we'll go
Yeah.
with that.
That'll work. We can ship
Well,
that.
the day before when we, lost to them, our kid was pitching the way he's always pitched, and if it's hard to explain, but it looks like a balk in a way, but it's not. And even the umps were like, "No, it's not a balk."
Just go with
but
it.
they were like, "That's a balk. That's a balk." Like while our kid was balking.
There
While
you
our kid
go.
was balking.
There you go.
While our
Truth
kid was
comes out.
pitching,
Yeah.
they're saying, and I'm like, dude, and I keep my cool. I can keep it. I can keep it in. I'm not. You would think I would be different. I'd be the guy that's like, I'm really not.
Yeah.
I've learned a lot from Coach Mullins. I really have. Keep your cool, for the most part. And I looked at him, Coach Mullins, and I was like, at what point are we going to tell them to shut up? And he's like, well, it's not going to do any good. And because I'm like, because at this point they're yelling at our pitcher,
Trying to get the
Yeah.
picture in the pitcher's head.
right? So
And he's a kid. He's not
Well,
even like
yeah.
my age yet.
Hey, dude,
Yeah.
I watched Carter's football team last year. These guys knew the hand signals,
oh yeah, we went through the same thing.
and they would sit there and yell out what the play was going to be
Yes.
and all that. Yeah,
They
you're
did it
just
to
like,
us.
Let them play.
They did it to
yes,
us.
you're grown men. You've seen the hand signals because you've been playing them for the last 6 years.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to call a defense to defend the play, fine. But
Mm-hmm.
don't sit here and say, you know what I mean? That's kind of sucks.
Yeah, it does real bad.
Now, but and that end of it, I get it. But here's another thing about the loss you got to remember though is Carter and them won state in 8 and under. Whenever he was 8 and under, and did you ever hear about it? No. You know, that stuff gets forgotten, so I wouldn't sweat it, bro. Y'all win it.
No, we're not sweating it. No, we're not sweating it. Like I said, we beat Cushing. You
Yeah,
know?
y'all had a, it sounds like y'all had a good run.
championship.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like beating Ada. You're like, well, we didn't win state. We would beat Ada.
We had the same thing happen at a 7-on-7 tournament where, for whatever reason, I've been running into people from Plainview a lot lately. And we were talking about that Plainview 7-on-7 tournament, which we got runner-up in, but we beat